From family events to volunteer opportunities to community happenings, there is a lot going on in your community. Learn about all the possibilities and opportunities on this episode of Community Hotline.
Hi, and welcome to Community Hotline. My name is Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. And with me tonight is somebody who is very instrumental in taking care of the homeless here in Gresham and the entire East County. Kathy Weiss is the Executive Director of My Father's House. Thanks for being here, Kathy.
Hi, nice to be here.
Now, My Father's House, I was telling you earlier, is from having worked in Gresham for almost 5 years now, I have come to know My Father's House as being one of the most respected nonprofit organizations in the entire area. And I think you've done a terrific job. Tell me, if you would, what the mission is of My Father's House and why you started it.
Well, it was kind of stumbled upon. A coworker, Ray Morris, and myself kind of was just chatting about some of the things that we had seen. We were both on a large church staff, and we thought, we've seen a lot of homeless come through, and we just started talking. We started dreaming up what we would do if we could help the homeless. And it wasn't very long after that we launched My Father's House. And it took quite a while trying to get the community on board. Mm-hmm. But once we were able to establish a name and establish really a home for the homeless, which was a duplex at the time, once that happened, people started seeing that we were serious about wanting to help the homeless, and specifically the homeless families.
Right.
And as we started being able to do that and follow through with what we wanted to do, people started jumping on board and volunteering and helping us out.
And how long ago was that?
That was in the year 2000, and
okay.
Then we opened up the shelter in a duplex with helping 5 families. We did that starting in January of 2001.
And that's what makes My Father's House unique, is that you help families,
right?
Correct?
Yes.
Because most shelters can take mothers and sometimes mothers with children, mm-hmm. But to keep an entire family together, mom, dad, and the kids, that just doesn't happen.
It's not. It's really hard because there wasn't really any place for couples to go, mm-hmm. and so many of the shelters, because of their rules and because of situations that have happened, mm-hmm. they weren't taking teenage boys with their mothers. So if you had a mother and she had older kids, it was very difficult to find a place for them. And couples, there just wasn't anywhere. And 12 years ago, there really wasn't any place for single dads to take their kids, especially if they had like young daughters. There were men's shelters, but there wasn't a place for men to take their families.
Right.
So that kind of spurred us on, and finding that in the community there really wasn't very much out there and absolutely nothing in East County area. We thought this would be a really good place to start.
Sure. So how many families or how many different individuals are you serving at this time?
Well, we serve about 120 families a year. Wow. And we have a huge 3-story building, and the building is really well suited. We built it just for the homeless and to make it a home away from home, so to speak.
Good.
And we have one whole floor is devoted just to single moms, and so that's our 3rd floor. And our 2nd floor is devoted to couples and single fathers.
Wow. Yeah, there is a huge need. Is there any place else in the area that even does that?
There are a few that have come up since then, and most of them are 30-day shelters.
But yours is long-term.
Ours is a little bit longer. I like to explain it as the bridge between a shelter and transitional housing. Shelters are typically 30 days, mm-hmm. and transitional housing 6 to 12 months, and we are a 4-month program. Okay. So we're kind of the bridge between going from being completely homeless and not coming in the night you're homeless, but coming in a few days after your interview, and then we help them, and we engage them in classes and educational classes, job search program, and that sort of stuff.
So they're there long enough to actually figure out a plan for their future.
Right. There's a few that stay longer than the 4 months, and they can apply for extension as long as they're meeting their goals and they are actually working towards finding work and wanting to find a place for their family to settle down. Then we'll work with them.
Right.
So there's a few families that stay 5 months or 6 months, but most of them it's about 4 months.
You provided us with a video that gives a little better idea of how the program works. So I think this would be a good time now to
Great.
take a look at that video.
Sure.
Fear, desperation, no hope. You see it in the faces of children whose families are suddenly without shelter.
I ended up losing my employment and our house all in the same month. And then we burned through savings and everything we had.
Me and my husband, sadly to say, got evicted from our apartment down in Corvallis. And then we moved to Portland, but we were living from one hotel to the next.
We ended up camping out under the Burnside Bridge for I'd say about 2 weeks, and we spent a couple nights at, emergency rooms and stuff like that.
On an average night, there are 250,000 homeless families in America, 4,000 a night in Multnomah County alone. Few shelters accept families, and the few government-funded shelters that do won't let them stay more than 30 days.
They were going to take him or they were going to take us, but when it comes to the kids, it was like, we can't take kids.
Families have so few options once they go homeless. Of course, the number one concern is the children, and if the children are ever separated from mom and dad, with the state system, there's little chance that they will get those kids back until, quite a ways down the road.
10 years ago, my father's house started in a 5-bedroom duplex in Gresham. In 8 years there, 187 families found shelter, safety, and a future. In 2004, my father's house purchased land on Powell for a 30-room shelter, and construction began. In 2010, 92 families lived here.
There are 3 keys to making the program successful at My Father's House. Number 1 is the relationship. We want the families to develop a relationship with us and with our volunteers so that they can be successful. Number 2 is responsibility. We don't want to do anything for them that they can do for themselves. It's self-motivation. But with that, we also have accountability. And the accountability is very important. So we meet with our residents on a regular basis to make sure that they're following through with their responsibilities.
We're a 4-month program, so they begin going to classes right away from day one that they're here, and they get books so they can begin to start going through recovery, start going through budgeting and financial class, taking things like Rent Well, which is a tenant education course that helps teach them how to become responsible renters.
Homeless after the death of his wife, Carlton and his 3 children found much more than hope at my father's house.
It's love. This place has just been one pile of love. I've never experienced something like that.
My father's house not only keeps families together, it helps recovering adults stay focused.
Things get desperate, so to speak. Sometimes not really the greatest at making the best decision. And for me to be with my kids, it keeps me on track and it keeps my confidence where it needs to be.
Some will leave here for transitional apartments leased by my father's house. Others to apartments on their own, each with new hope and confidence.
Since they don't pay rent and utilities here, we asked that they would save what would be equivalent to rent and utilities. And so sometimes families leave with $1,000, $1,500 in the bank, and they haven't had that much in savings in a long time. So they leave with that. They leave with tools to really be able to go out and take control of their lives.
Without my father's house, I would be lost.
We would not be sure of what tomorrow would bring.
We would be lost. I don't know if we'd be together.
I would be back stuck in my past, doing drugs and drinking all the time instead of being the great mother who I am today.
I would probably be still under the bridge.
What's most compelling to me is that last week we turned away 135 families. These are great people who are literally in their cars or on the streets tonight.
The need to help homeless families has never been greater. We're asking you to reach into your hearts and your pocketbooks. We're asking you to give what you can to support this life-changing ministry. With your generous support, not only will families find safety and shelter, they will stay together and have the skills to once again survive and thrive on their own. My Father's House, helping families, transforming lives.
Pretty powerful stories there.
Yeah.
Tell me about the people that are in that video. Do you follow up with any of them? Do you know what any of them are doing now? Are some of those people still in the shelter?
You do lose a few along the way,
I imagine that's natural.
Yeah, and you lose contact with them. It's always fun when you hear from them. One of our single moms that was not on the video, but she was at the shelter, and it was so neat. She called me about 2 weeks ago, and she said, "You won't believe this." She goes, "I'm going to be your neighbor." And I'm thinking, my neighbor, there's only apartments surrounding us, you know, and I'm thinking, okay, and where would she be going? And they're kind of expensive apartments, really. And she said, "No, I bought a condo across the street from you." And I was like, that is so cool.
That is great.
And, you know, it's like years later you hear back from people. The one couple on the video that said that they had been living under a bridge for a while.
Right.
They stayed at our shelter for 5 months, and they did move into our Stepping Stone apartments for transitional housing, and they have been there. It's a year-long program. And they just found out about a month ago that in September they will be buying their house, their own home.
How exciting!
So it's really neat to see them come full circle from homelessness and even the family under a bridge. And they've gone through our program, they've gone through the finance classes, they've learned some tools to help them through life, and now they're buying a house. It's just amazing.
That's an amazing success story. It really is. I mean, just to be able to get back on your feet and maybe be working and supporting your family, but to be able to buy a house, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, it really is. It's encouraging to see that.
Yeah.
And, you know, our tagline is helping families, transforming lives. And I really see that all the time. I get to see people transform their lives from one of hopelessness and homelessness into hopefulness, and it is the most amazing experience, and I have the best job in the world.
I was going to say, what a great job. I mean, it's a constant affirmation of the good things in life.
Yeah,
you know?
It's really fun.
So now your financing, the way you're supported, is it strictly from donations, grants, that kind of thing? How is My Father's House supported?
Well, for operating, we don't get a whole lot of grants, other than not like big grant foundation kind of monies, but we do get some of our money comes from corporations like Boeing and some of the larger ones in town, and it's so wonderful to have that support. But most of our support comes from just the average Joe, you know,
just somebody that
people
understands what that must be like, or empathizes or sympathizes with the situation.
And it really is a grassroots kind of organization where we don't have one or two huge, or even 10 or 15 huge donors. Most of our donors, I think the average gift is $25 a month.
Really?
And we're not government funded. And from the very beginning, we knew that we didn't want to be government funded. We wanted to be able to run the shelter, not a 30-day program, but we wanted it to be a program where they have time to get back on their feet. So the people we have this one lady, her name is Fran, and I just love her. And every month she sends in $5.
Oh,
and she writes me the sweetest notes, and I just love that.
Yeah.
It is so wonderful. And there's lots and lots of people like that. The other day, we got the mail, and there's this all smushed up envelope, and it's all wrinkled and crumpled and everything. And there's a child's name in the corner of the envelope, and they put it in the mail in one of our envelopes. So it came to us, but there was no stamp on it, and it had 12 cents in it.
Oh.
And you know, you see that, and you just like, it reminds me of the widow's mite. You know, there's that give what you have.
Yeah.
And that's what
That might have been part of his allowance or something.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, and I'm sure the parents don't even know he tried to mail it.
Oh,
but it was just really, really sweet.
Oh,
and
that's great.
I love those kind of things because it takes all of us. And one of my very favorite quotes is Mother Teresa. And this is roughly quoted, mind you, but it was basically, I can't do what you do and you can't do what I do, but together we could make a world of difference. And
the truth?
I love that because it was really true. I could never fund the shelter by myself, but I can fund it with 1,200 other people.
Right. With the help of your community,
yeah,
you can do it.
Right. So
now you do have a couple of fundraisers, or you have a fundraiser coming up.
We
correct?
do. Mm-hmm.
And so tell me about that. It's a golf tournament?
It is. We call it Golf to Give.
Okay.
And it's on July 16th. I think we have four teams left open. So
okay. So
it's filling up fast. There's a little bit of room left. And it's out at Willamette Valley Country Club. And
where is that? I don't know
that's
where
in
that
Canby.
Is. Oh, in Canby, okay.
The nice thing is it's a private club, so you get to golf somewhere where you've maybe never golfed because you can't belong to all the clubs. And it's a beautiful course, and they just redesigned it and moved all the sand traps and all the water features. So it'll be really a lot of fun for our people that have been in the golf tournament before. But it is really a great golf tournament. Our goal is to raise $20,000. And we raised $13,000 last year, so we're really hoping to just put it over the edge a little bit.
Bump it up a little bit.
Yeah,
good.
It's a great event.
So there's still room for people to participate,
There
just
is.
a little bit of room.
Yeah. And this year we're doing something a little different too, which I think is really wonderful. Willamette Valley, they said, well, you guys have a lot of kids. What if you brought kids out to the golf tournament and we gave them a private lesson for a couple of hours?
While the parents are golfing, or is it a different time, or what?
It's the same time as the golf tournament, but it's our shelter kids.
Oh, it's your shelter kids. Oh,
yes.
That's great.
So there's 15 of our kids that are going to get to go out. Probably our little bit older kids, like 8 and up. They're going to get to go out and have a golf lesson.
What a wonderful experience.
Just have fun. Yeah, it really is awesome. And I thought this was a great idea that one of my board members had, and she followed through with it. And it's really a great idea, and the kids are so excited. And I think it'll be fun for the golfers to see the kids too.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah. That adds a really nice element to it, and how great for the kids.
Yeah.
Now tell me also, you have house tours every month. Tell me a little bit about that, Kathy.
We do. Every month we have a set time, usually on a Saturday, either at 10 a.m. or 2 p.m. And it's on our website as well. But what we do is we have an open house where you come in, you get a tour. The volunteer manager takes you around, shows you all the different places, the children's center and the computer lab and the donation center. They show you a room where the people live. And it's just gives you more of an idea of how the families live and what they participate in. And then if you would like to volunteer, you can sign up that day for the volunteer training, or you can just say, this was really interesting, great thing to do. And it really is a fun little short thing. And bring your kids.
Okay.
We're
And how was this whole, how is everything, your furniture, your computers, all that, where do you get all that from?
All of that's given by donations. It's really been a generous community.
Wonderful.
It's just amazing. But every single thing, we have leather furniture on all 3 floors.
Nice.
That's been given by the community, and just refrigerators, and everybody has their own little kitchen in their room. And so you have to have a refrigerator, and it's really great to see the community support us.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're doing terrific work in the community, and I'm glad to hear that the community is so supportive of My Father's House. So if you're interested in finding out more about My Father's House, please go to their website. If there's still a little bit of room, if you want to be part of the golf tournament, it's Golf to Give, and your website is www.familyshelter.org. So please check it out. And my thanks to Kathy Weitzel for joining us tonight. Thanks so much, Kathy. Don't go away. We'll be right back in a few minutes with more of Community Hotline.